Hello, and welcome to our series on sex, gender, and engineering, where we explore the different behaviors and impacts of those behaviors that women face in engineering work and school compared to men. I'm Denise Wilson, a professor of electrical engineering at the University of Washington, and alongside my personal experiences in engineering over the past few decades, I have a broader interest in studying the issues that women face in engineering, and especially strategies to eliminate, reduce, or otherwise circumvent barriers that women in engineering and other technical fields face in their careers. The topic of today's session is sexual harassment and intersectionality, specifically looking at differences by age in how women experience sexual harassment. While we generally know that women are sexually harassed more often than men across the workforce, in engineering and tech in particular, both in work and in school, this is not always the case. And further, race, ethnicity, and other demographic characteristics play into the sexual harassment landscape. Age is one of those demographic characteristics, and while we might immediately jump to the conclusion that women who are younger get sexually harassed more than women that are older, the actual differences in data show a more subtle and nuanced picture than simply younger is worse when it comes to sexual harassment. So how does age affect sexual harassment? What goes on as women age with regard to sexual harassment, not only in terms of frequency of that harassment, but in terms of the impacts and the types of harassment? Well, first, as we expected to see, we see that the younger you are as a woman, the more likely you are to be sexually harassed. And in this set of statistics and in this study conducted in 2020, we see that the odds of being sexually harassed as a woman aged 18 to 29 is a little bit over twice as much as the likelihood that anyone will be harassed at age 18 through 29. And for women over 30 and over, the reality is that their expectation of being harassed is about the same on average as the mean of those sexual harassment across the engineering workplace. So again, this picture says, okay, younger women are sexually harassed more often. This may be a result of the fact that younger women tend to be in more junior positions, and junior positions are more vulnerable to sexual harassment because of the power structure. Or it may be due simply to the fact that in American culture, being young has more sex appeal. But since sexual harassment can often be about power rather than about sex, we have to wonder how much of this is due to the junior status and the power structure in the workplace as well as in school. If we now take a little bit of a deeper look in what studies are available about intersectionality by age, what we see is an interesting nuance or subtlety to what women experience as they age. So the first thing we notice here is what we might expect, that in younger women experience significantly more psychological distress as a result of their harassment experience than women who are older, in this case over 40. They also experience significantly more job withdrawal and other negative job outcomes as a result of sexual harassment experiences. But this occurs both for the positive as well as the negative. For example, there are decreases in psychological well-being, as well as their commitment to the job are significantly greater for younger women than for older women. But what we see interestingly here is that the physical symptoms exhibited by older women tend to be significantly greater as a result of a sexual harassment experience than for younger women, in this case, those women under 40. So that's a very interesting outcome, and the reasons for this are complicated, but some possible reasons for this, first looking at younger women, are that women who are younger tend to be in more junior positions in work and are more likely to fear job-related consequences of sexual harassment or retaliation as a result of reporting such harassment. Thus, they may be more susceptible to psychological impacts from sexual harassment experiences. However, younger women also tend to be more mobile in their employment and more likely to quit. If the job situation isn't good, they can just leave and move on to better workplace cultures in other organizations or units within the same organization where harassment is absent or much reduced than their original situation. On the other end of the spectrum, women who are older might have developed more robust coping and emotional regulation skills than younger women and may therefore be less susceptible to the mental health or psychological impacts of sexual harassment. But these women also tend to be less able to move into other jobs because they have family responsibilities or two-body situations where going anywhere else for a job involves moving two people or an entire family. Therefore, while they may be less likely to quit or withdraw from work, basically because they have fewer choices of where to go next, the chronic stress that they experience of being stuck in a hostile, chilly, or harassing workplace is likely to have more impacts on their physical health. Now, these are just two possible explanations of the complex reasons why women who are older have a different experience in response to sexual harassment than younger women do. But we do know is clearly there's an intersectionality issue. Age does matter. Being a woman definitely matters. Younger women are sexually harassed more often than older women, and they experience greater impacts to their career and mental psychological health. In other words, they experience more psychological distress, more detrimental impacts to their psychological well being, and they are more likely to withdraw from their work or leave their job altogether. Older women, on the other hand, tend to report less sexual harassment than younger women. Again, is this because they experience less or because they've ignored it by the time they've reached an older age is yet to be seen in the research. But when they are targets of sexual harassment, whether gender harassment or more egregious forms of harassment, they tend to experience greater and more longer lasting impacts on their physical health than younger women do. Regardless, age plays into the intersectionality puzzle and makes the intersectionality puzzle even more complicated to understand. So today we've just taken a very brief look at the intersectionality by age in terms of sexual harassment experience in the workplace. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again soon for another session on sex, gender, and engineering.